Okay, I think three models we have finished as of now. The fourth one will be seeing. We'll just go to the content what all we are supposed to discuss in this, and based on that we can start. Mm, And also, I have shared with you a soft copy of the material, and I've also uploaded in the Google class. You can go through it, but it is slightly changed because it is with the previous syllabus. It is the old syllabus, but it is almost all this content is going to be same, but it is maybe shifted from module 1 to 2 or 2 to 3 like that. So maybe in different modules you will get, but more or less all the content is considered, I hope. So up to model 1 we have completed, and in the regular class only. Model 2 also we closed almost, and model 3, that is the internal combustion engine, and also we solved different problems on that. uh, so different problems we solved in IC engine, and finally also we see in the refrigeration working principle of that, and COP, relative COP, that is unit of refrigeration, all that we discussed. And so now we'll be moving to module 4, that is we are supposed to discuss the properties and composition and industrial application of engineering material, that is metals, ferrous and non-ferrous and all that. Uh, in addition to that, we'll be discussing about polymers, ceramics, composite material, shape memory alloys, piezoelectric material, semiconductors and all that. In addition to that, it also we are supposed to discuss with respect to joining process, that is welding, soldering, brazing we do for joining a metal joining process. All that we'll be discussing, and also we'll be discussing with respect to belt drives, that is open and cross belt drives, which we use it for transmitting the power from one to other. So that is belt drives we use it. So that also we'll be discussing, and gear drives finally. So total four aspects of it we are supposed to cover, that is material aspect, various different properties, classifications of it, and composite materials, ceramics, piezoelectric material, shape material, alloys, and everything. That is material aspect. The second one is welding of it, joining of metal to metal or metal to different material. And the another one is belt drives. Belt drives is basically used for transmitting the power. And the fourth one is gear drives. Again, it is also we use it for transmitting the power from one to other. So that completes module 4. I think if you compare the complete module compared to other modules, I think module 4 is going to be lengthier than any other this one, if you consider. So we look into different types of material and all that. So based on that, I think we'll start discussing on that, and then we can close this. So just give me a second. So we'll just go to the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so this I think we can start now. So just give me a second. So friends, so basically we use different types of material. Maybe we have seen different types of material, engineering material, in our day-to-day life. Maybe we know that different types of material which are being exist in the nature, and we use and each material it is going to be having its unique in nature, unique in its physical properties is concerned. For example, some material, let us assume that some materials it is going to be float on the water, and some material it is going to be sink. We know that wood which is going to float over the water, but some material it is going to be zinc, and also it based on the quantity, or it based on the density also it matters. Even glass it sinks, paper it sinks, metal it is going to sink. So plastics also it starts floating, fabrics it's going to sink, right? So I mean to say different types of material which is being exist, and we use it for different types of applications. We can see it from each material because of their unique characteristic which is involved. I mean to say it's because of its physical conditions of the materials. Even we, for that matter, we can say some materials are going to be waterproof, some materials are not going to be waterproof. Maybe that we use it for different types of application. Some things are made of more than one material sometimes. That also we use it for different applications. So and each material it is going to be different from one to other. So one which is going to be, for example, let us assume that some material is going to be used as a good conductor for heat, or some material is going to be used for insulator purpose. Maybe it is to provide a good insulation, and some material is going to be used for electric conductivity. Some it is going to be used for heat conductivity, all that. So because of its we are using it for different applications based on their unique characteristics, and each is going to be different from each other. Sometimes in order to have both insulator and conductor, we mix together two different components and then we use it. So all that we use it, but you can see some material is going to be transparent, some it is going to be opaque in nature. So all that we see it. So I mean to say all material it is going to have unique in nature. So in this module particularly we'll be discussing on its classification, and its construction, its end use application, and different types of properties which are going to be involved. All that we'll be discussing. We know that all material in the sense any material which is going to be exist in the earth, that all comes under that. But only we'll be focusing on metals and non-metals. That only we'll be discussing, because as per your syllabus is concerned, and more we are interested in terms of engineering material rather than any other. So we know that any metals are which is going to be part of the earth's crust, which is going to be in the form of metal ore, or once the metal ore which is going to be on the earth crust, that will be extracted from the earth, and that is going to be processed in different ways, by which it is going to be metal ore becomes metal by melting at very high temperature. If you melt the metal ore which is going to be exist in the earth crust, then we will get the metals. So basically, if you look at the metals, iron is going to be extracted from iron ore by burning it with carbon. It is going to be blast in the furnace at very high temperature. So due to which we are going to get either iron or any different types of metal. So normally it is going to be available in the earth crust. Uh, we'll just see its classification is concerned. Either any engineering materials that is going to be classified into ferrous and non-ferrous material as given in the slide. So either basically it is going to be it is going to be broadly classified into two, that is ferrous and non-ferrous material. So ferrous materials or metals may be defined as it's a metals whose main constant is going to be iron, such as pig iron we call it as, or maybe wrought iron or cast iron, and steel and their alloys. That we'll discuss in detail what is pig iron, wrought iron, and all that. But basically, ferrous materials or ferrous metals are going to be defined as if the material whose main constant is iron, if it is contains any material or metal, it contains iron content, such as maybe pig iron, wrought iron, cast iron, whatever, steel and their alloys, then it is we call it as a ferrous material. The principal raw material for ferrous metal is going to be the major constant which is going to be present in the ferrous metal is going to be the iron. So ferrous materials are usually stronger in nature. It is going to be harder, and it is going to be very brittle in nature because of the carbon it is going to be present in the metal. The special property of the ferrous metal is that it is a characteristics that can be altered by heat treatment process. For example, the ferrous material can be altered. Its physical condition or physical property of the ferrous material can be altered, or it is going. It's one of the major characteristics of the ferrous material is that the properties of the metal, property of the ferrous material can be possessed by a heat treatment process by exposing it to heat in a, and melting it and mixing with other alloying elements. So this can be done very easily in case of ferrous material. So ferrous metal possess different types of physical properties according to their carbon content. So the main constituent of this ferrous material is the carbon content. The ferrous metals are going to be iron based metals, which include all varieties of iron and steel, and most common engineering materials are ferrous metals only, which are alloys of iron, basically. Ferrous means it is a the ferrous means it is nothing but it's a iron. Iron is the name which is given to pure ferrite. That is FeV. We call it as. So if you look at the classifications of all that and what is non-ferrous and all that, we can discuss. So this is with respect to ferrous, and non-ferrous is nothing but it is a any material. Normally, it is going to have it will not going to have any carbon content in it or any iron. So metals which makes the larger class of chemical elements in the periodic table. Approximately three quarters of elements are metals. Most metals are silvery in color, have a characteristics of luster, and are solid in nature. Most metals are also going to be malleable. Malleable in the sense can be shaped with a hammer when it is in the semi-liquid condition. And ductile, ductile is nothing but it can be drawn into a wire. For example, if you have a cylindrical material, and if you just you can able to draw it into wire, and a good conductor both for heat and electricity. But if you look at the material, if you just take a few minutes to think about metals, we already presently we may be using that is steel, aluminum, brass, copper, iron, stainless steel, bronze. So different types of materials which we use. For instance, I'll give you an instance that, for example, if you suddenly start sitting over the wood, the we feel we don't feel anything much any difference. But if you the same white for the same time, if you sit over the steel chair. So normally we feel very cold because of because of its physical condition, or maybe it is because of thermal conductivity. So all that. So I mean to say, so each property it is going to obey different types of property. So all that we're going to discuss. But normally we find these materials we find very easily. That is steel, more or less we use it in our kitchen appliances. Aluminium, we have seen brass, we have seen copper, iron, stainless steel, bronze, all that we see. So broadly, if you look at the classification, so metals are always going to be classified as ferrous and non-ferrous material. Uh, uh, that is, if you again further, if you classify it to ferrous material, it is going to be pure ferrous material is iron. So if it is a that is what I was speaking actually, pig iron, wrought iron, and different types of iron, that is all are pure ferrous material. uh, uh, the ferrous alloy can also be steel, high speed steel. In this the carbon content is going to be vary. So these are the ferrous material. And non-ferrous, if you look at, it's a pure non-ferrous metal and non-ferrous alloys, we call it as. The copper and aluminum is going to be the non-ferrous material. So more or less it is it's going to have very high thermal conductivity. So wherever there is a heat transfer application is required, we use either copper or aluminum. Sometimes we use it zinc and tin also. We have seen lead and silver, gold. Also the mercury is also going to be the pure non-ferrous material. And very interesting to note that mercury is the only non-ferrous material that is exists in liquid state at even room temperature. Maybe you have seen that mercury, it is simply, if you just start placing it over the surface, it splits by its own, without maybe while placing it maybe one, but it will split of its own. So so that is the main characteristics or which is involved with respect to mercury. So mercury is the only non-ferrous metal that is in liquid state at even room temperature. So non-ferrous alloys, if you look at maybe for example copper, and mixing some copper and aluminum, we mix it, we'll get some alloys. But alloys of non-ferrous only, so that is brass, bronze, solder. So brass, how do you get it? Copper plus zinc. Copper, the main constant is going to be copper, and if you add zinc, you'll get brass. So for example, copper will have thermal conductivity, it is more than even aluminum, and zinc will have its own unique in nature. If you mix together, we can get an optimum property with respect to thermal conductivity and with respect to zinc. So that is the reason we go for alloys. That is the reason we go for alloys. Either it is ferrous alloys or whether it is non-ferrous alloys. So similarly, bronze. Bronze is again copper plus tin. Solder, lead plus tin. Those for this lead and tin, when we mix it, we use it for soldering of any stainless steel and all that. We use it this soldering. So this is all with respect to classification is concerned. So ferrous material, already we have seen ferrous material are that are consist mostly iron and small amounts of other elements. A very small very small amount of other elements, but 98-99% is going to be iron only. So ferrous metals are very easily we can be able to identify whether it is a ferrous or non-ferrous based on its condition. For example, ferrous metals are very prone to rusting when it is exposed to water. So any, for example, you just place it to just in atmospheric conditions over a period of time, it starts rusting. So that is it is exposed to the corrosion. So that is a main issue with respect to ferrous metal. Can also be picked up by this. Very interesting to note that it's in its magnetism. It attracts to magnet, and the rusting and magnet properties in ferrous metals are both down to the iron. It is because of the iron content it is present. Whereas aluminum or copper, if you take it, it will not going to be attracted by magnet. That is a non-ferrous metal. So for example, you take mild steel, cast iron, high carbon steel, so all that. Uh, that is what which are the basic example for ferrous material. And ferrous metals, if you look at with respect to its application, mild steel, it is very ductile and malleable metal. Will This is, we use it for construction using steel. We use it maybe huge bar and huge angles in order to provide, more or less we use it for construction applications. That is mild steel. And uh, uh, in industrial application, if you look at it, is going to be used in nuts, bolts, building bridges, car bodies, gates, etc. We use it. Its melting point is going to be 1600 degree. If you start melting in a furnace and if you start adding heat, then it starts melting at 1000 degrees, 1600 degrees Celsius. So this is with respect to ferrous material. We'll look into other also. If you look at the cast iron, is very strong material. It is very harder in nature because the carbon content is going to be more, as it is very brittle when it is in compression, and also it is very brittle in nature. Brittle in the sense it is very harder. Any material it is going to have the hardness, if it is there, then it is going to be, it is very simple to understand. It is very brittle in nature. The moment you just throw it, it will break, I mean to say. So brittle in nature. It is consist of 93% of iron, very interesting to note here, and 4% of carbon plus other elements, maybe which is in very lower portions. So used for this cast iron, we use it for piston ring, piston connecting rod and all that. So car brace disc, we use it, car cylinders, metalworks, manhole covers, machinery bases, the pillar drill, and all that we use it. And its melting temperature. See here, the melting temperature of each material it is going to be different. We are going to have that is 1200 Celsius for metal cast iron. Uh, even steel, that is steel is also going to be used versatile in construction industrial application. It's very brittle material. It's also very resistant to wear, and this we use it for even to material removal process. Maybe we use it in for drilling and use as a drill bit or drill tool. We use it to for material removal process. uh, uh, this is versatile, used very versatile used in industries, that is for material removal process. The melting point is going to be 1400 degrees Celsius. So high carbon steels, again it is the carbon content is going to be, maybe it is in the range of 2%. It's very tough material. It can be used for hand tools, screwdrivers, hammers, chisels, saws, and all that we use it. There is a high carbon steel, and the low carbon steels are high speed. All that this also can be used for uh, drill bit and other few industrial applications. So non-ferrous metal, as I was speaking to you, non-ferrous metals are the metals again. They do not have any iron in them. It's how do you differentiate is that it is only the presence of iron content. In the ferrous material, the 99% it is going to be iron, remaining 1% is going to be constant elements. But here we don't find any even smaller portions of iron in this. So this means that non-ferrous metals are not attracted to magnet, and they also do not rust. Years together, if you place it, it will not even rust to, even it is exposed to water or different ambient conditions. If you place it for over a year, it will not expose to corrosion, and it will not attracted by magnet. With even when you expose to any high condition, irrespective of its weather, irrespective of its moisture presence, it is not going to be rust. So typical non-ferrous materials are going to be aluminum and copper. We very widely we used in heat transfer applications, zinc, tin, lead, silver, gold, magnesium. So all these we use it as a non-ferrous metal. So we'll just see its one or two applications of it, and then we'll close it by today. So aluminium, basically we use it nowadays in all houses. House windows are made with aluminium. It is replaced with wood. Earlier windows are going to be made with wood windows, but because of its non-availability and because of its policy, government policy against to cut the tree. So all that now it is in being in practice that we most of the houses are going to be used for windows. So although it is, and of course it's one of the significant characteristic is that it is very light in weight. All non-ferrous metals are going to be weightless, not weightless, I mean to say that comparatively the weight is going to be lower. Yeah, and also it can be used for window frame, ladders, and bicycles, expensive bicycles and all that. And it's very important to note that all non-ferrous metals are going to be, melting point is going to be slightly lesser than that. So it is around 660 degrees Celsius. So and very vast, the aluminum is going to be, as I was mentioning, that the thermal conductivity is high. Of course, copper is going to be high, and gold is also going to be high. But because of its availability, because of the non-availability of the and there is a huge demand for uh, copper and gold. But so that is the reason aluminum is going to be available, abundant in nature, and in most of the cases, rather than going for copper, unless it is very inevitable, we use aluminum as a heat transfer application. You might have find that in car engine or vehicle engine, all that, it is made with aluminum because of its heat transfer. It's very good heat conductor. Uh, Copper, of course, it's a non-ferrous metal. It is going to be very ductile in nature. Maybe we have seen nowadays that copper water bottles, I think it is very famous in its industrial application, that it is very ductile in nature. The moment it is just fall down from the table also, it starts bend. So that is a ductility. It's a more ductility and malleable. Malleable in the sense its shapes can be altered very easily. So it is going to be, often it is going to be red or brown in color. Of course, it is a very good conductor. It is for both heat and electricity. I think we have seen that all electric wires and cables are going to be uh, uh, made with copper. So that is the reason there is huge demand for copper, and it is very expensive because it obeys both. It acts as a both good conductor for heat and good electricity. So both properties it is constituted in this. So it can be used for plumbing, electric components, cookware, and roof coverings and all that. And its melting temperature is going to be, melting point is going to be 1084. Uh, Zinc, it is very high resistance to corrosion. Uh, uh, so don't get confused. It is resistant to corrosion. It is not a corrosive material. Of course, non-ferrous metals are non-corrosive, but it offers resistance to corrosion against to the moisture. However, zinc is very weak metal, and it is the hardness or toughness or strength wise, it is very less compared to aluminum and copper. And so, of course, any non-ferrous material are going to be lower strength one, lower strength in terms of hardness, in terms of strength, in terms of mechanical properties, all that, it is going to be lower. But because of its own favorable properties, we use it for different applications. So that is the reason we don't prefer this construction buildings or all that, because it is lower strength. So these are going to be used for a coating. I think we have seen all any nuts, bolts, or any mechanical small components, it is going to be coated. So zinc normally we use it because it is we use it for coating. For example, sometimes ferrous metal, that is steels, iron, all that, it is going to be coated with zinc in order to prevent from corrosion, in order to prevent from corrosion. So because of the resistance it is offers to the corrosion, it is very high resistant it is going to offer for the corrosion. So that is